This episode of the Beauty Industry podcast was brought to you by Private Label Skincare, handcrafted natural skincare products for busy beauty entrepreneurs. Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Reid. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today, my guest is Tanya Guccione. Tanya has been beautifying women for over 15 years, from weddings and red carpet to high-end fashion runway looks as a makeup artist, manicurist, and hairstylist. Tanya has worked alongside the industry's elite and has had work published in local and international magazines, as well as having been recruited for makeup teams during the Australian, New York, and Milan fashion weeks. Though Tanya has an A-list celebrity clientele, including the likes of Jennifer Hawkins, Tina Arena, Jessica Mauboy, Samantha Jade, Rita and Kylie Minogue, plus she's taken out the title for the 2019 Bridal Formal Makeup Artist of the Year at the Australian Beauty Industry Awards, Tanya is as down-to-earth as they come, promoting her most true self by being completely raw and real across her highly engaged social channels. Tanya and I have loads of laughs today as we chat about not only her incredible skills and, of course, assisting the legend herself, Ray Morris, but to makeup trends that we wish we never wore and the struggles of people trying to break into the industry. As we recorded this episode remotely and the internet gods were not on our side when this interview took place, we both turned into robot voices here throughout the chat sometimes, but Tanya's bubbly, captivating, creative nature will hopefully allow you to forgive me for some of those first world internet problems we encountered. Today, we welcome Tanya Guccione to the Beauty Industry podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Tamara, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat about all things makeup. It's when I got your little email, I was like, oh, yes, I would love to do that. Thank you. So thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure. Look, we get so many requests for podcast guests. And I always say to our audience, please let me know who you want to talk to because I want to feature them on the episode. And lots and lots and lots of people said you. So I'm excited that we can do that for them.
That's so cool. I mean, that's a shock to me, to be completely honest. But, you know, it's always nice when it's authentic. So it's really nice. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous. So, Tanya, I like to start at the beginning. How did you make your way into the industry and how did you start with makeup?
So obviously this is a question that I get asked often, and I always say that makeup chose me. I didn't choose makeup. It was definitely an accidental career path, which I know to some degree people are like, oh, here we go, one of those stories. But I actually left school in year 12 and studied fine arts, and I was studying fine arts and was working part-time at a hairdressing salon and just in local Melbourne Moonee Ponds, local hairdressing salon. And the owner basically threw me in and just said, you can, and I was a receptionist. I wasn't working in hair or makeup. He just put me down as a part-time receptionist for the salon. And he sort of just threw me in and was like, right, we're getting an Napoleon stand. You can do makeup. And I said, I remember being like, I don't do makeup. And he's like, well, you paint, that's the same. He just automatically thought that like you paint canvases, you can paint a face. And it just sort of grew from there. That was initially how I got involved in makeup, but it was a real accidental career choice because I always imagined that I would leave school and be this art teacher or an art person, which I guess to some degree I still am. And I still paint to this day. I still have an art room where I do all of my art, but makeup just became my career, because I felt like it was like an overflow of what I was already doing. And it really came naturally to me. And it was really awesome because I didn't study it, but I just got to work on so many different faces automatically and make all those mistakes really quickly in the salon. And obviously that's where I learned to do hair as well. So yeah, it was really cool.
Right. So what was that moment like for you? Your boss says, here's Napoleon stand, all the best. Do you go and YouTube back then? Do you go and pick up a book? What do you do in that moment?
Look, I know that, firstly, I know that people think I'm young enough to have had YouTube around, but when I started, like, I'm 39 this year, so there was not really a lot of YouTube presence. When I started out. I finished school in 2000, and I remember I actually did panic, and I said to him, look, yeah, sure, I can do a little something, because I knew how to do makeup by myself, but you're going to have to put me into some sort of course. So he did. He put me into like a 1 week makeup 101 course that I just had no real credibility. It was like, here you go, learn everything in a week. Which back then there were a few little small courses around that you could learn the ropes, but nothing intensive. Most of it I learned just through the experience of painting different faces, literally painting different faces. So it was a strange thing, because I actually grew up dancing as a kid. So I felt like I'd sort of already had some sort of makeup experience, even through that experience as a child. And I remember my mum bought me my first YSL red lippy. So I never forget that when I did dancing, I didn't have some crappy brand. My mum was like, right, we're doing dancing, let's go get your little kit. And it was a beautiful YSL red lipstick and a nice Lancome eyeliner, and it was just a real precious little thing that I had for dancing. And so I felt like all those little seeds had been planted so early on that it was, when I actually got into makeup, it was of no one was that surprised. So yeah, it's a funny journey.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Do you remember what that first client was, and were you nervous?
No. So it's really funny, because I'd worked in the salon. I'd already had like quite a good rapport with clients. And so when I did their makeup, it was this feeling of like I already know them. And it's like they expected me to sort of know what I was doing anyway, because I worked in the salon. So yeah, I guess it would have been different if I was thrown into doing something really extreme, or if it was like not the right environment. But actually, oddly enough, was never really that nervous. Even to this day, I've always been like no, I got this person. Even when I get thrown into something, I'm a little bit of a fake it till you make it. That's been my whole career, really. Just like, oh, I can do this, and say yes, even I'll just learn as I go,
Yeah.
So
It's all or nothing, sink or swim, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
I
I
think
mean, what's going to happen? We wash it off, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of makeup. It wasn't a haircut. If it was a haircut, I would have died.
We'll be in trouble.
But with makeup, yeah, it's only a wet wipe away, really.
I like that. I might remember that next time I try and do a smoky eye on myself. It's just a wet wipe away.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it tells a lot about kind of people who are in the. That's fine. We've got little Julius in the background, so you might hear him barking.
He's very cool.
I think people who are kind of above the age of 30 now, we were always thrown into that mentality in business, and being a therapist or being an employee, that you didn't always have all the skills or all the training. You just got in there and did it. And I know now for a lot of therapists, if we say go in and do this and just try, we've got, a cancellation or something and there's no one else to do it, you have to do it. They're like, no, and they absolutely freak out. Whereas I quite like that we're a bit more resilient like that, and we're like, yeah, well, we'll just give it a go.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we grew up, in that generation of parents as well that were like, get a job, get a real job.
Yes.
So it's always been, that real hard work ethic. No, there was no platform, was there? There was no Instagram. There was none of that. So, you know, when you think about the type of generations, even just within our industry, it's so different, so different.
Yeah, you're 100% right. So I want to go back to, you mentioned there, like our parents. What did your parents think when you said, you know, I'm doing this fine arts degree, but now I kind of want to be a makeup artist? Did you continue the degree? What did they think in that moment?
Oh, my parents have always been, specifically my mum, because I grew up in a bit of a one-parent household. My dad was around, but not really around. And my mum was always super supportive. She knew, even just as a kid, if I wasn't interested, you've lost me. I've always been super creative. She still has matchsticks where I used to paint the head of the matchstick. That's how steady my hand was.
Yeah, right.
I could paint the tip of the matchstick with a little face, and then I dress the matchstick with clothes. And I was doing that at like the age of 6. So long as I was being creative, she knew that I was on the right path. And to be completely honest, fine arts was so expensive that she was like, well, hey, at least this can be a little money maker. I think she saw it as probably more of a reality than being a fine arts artist, you know. So it's just one of those things that I was really fortunate. Mum was always just go do you, and she's still that person now. So
how gorgeous. We all need a mum like that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like finding your passion for makeup then, do you feel like that developed as you went on, or was it the skill that you realized, okay, I'm quite great, I might as well just keep on going?
I think when I think about even till now, what I've always been passionate about is definitely art. So I did makeup, but I learned very quickly that it was a lot about, you know, glam and getting people ready for an event and weddings and special occasions. And so whilst I enjoyed that, it wasn't long till I started to feel a little bit like, oh, this doesn't really give me that same kick as the way my art did. And so my passion grew when I knew that there was a whole other industry and so many other different genres other than, you know, 50 shades of brown. And so that's when I really tapped into my fashion and the editorial aspect of it, and doing things that were just different to the everyday person. And yeah, I still to this day enjoy that, and I still deal with everyday people, and I actually love people, so it comes easy to me to be able to have a chat or be there for someone's special day or whatever that is. But I would not be doing makeup still if I wasn't being creative and creating those beautiful editorials where it has a soul, it tells a story. And I've always been that person. No matter what I do, it always has to have some sort of some sort of soul and story and meaning, so that it's just more than what the eye can see. And I think that definitely comes from my fine arts background. So even with social media, you know, I've always felt like it's soulless. So that's why my social media is so vast and so broad, because I've always wanted people to see me, not just my work. Or when they see my work, it reflects me, and it all sort of ties together, and it's not curated in a way where it doesn't have that, I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, I think that especially during this current season that we're in, and I know I'm going off on a tangent now, but this current season that we're in, it's been so nice to see what everybody else is doing is what I've done all along, really, is just show people, you're starting to see who people really are, and it's beautiful. And now everything has so much more meaning, and we were just, I don't know, we were really living in a time where things were starting to lose that real essence to why we do what we do. So I'm passionate about just creating art, really, whatever format that comes in. And luckily enough, I've been able to do it with makeup and get paid to do it. So Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you know what I'm actually seeing a lot on social media lately is less of the bikini booby shots and like more of the creative kind of aesthetic, you know, like
Yes.
beautiful imagery, and I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's made makeup artists and models and all of these beauty influencers really have a little bit of a wake-up call that, oh, well, what do I do now? Oh, well, now I actually have to be me.
Mm.
And that's awesome. And that's beautiful. And, you know, I see a lot of, I mean, it's the most amazing platform, and we're so fortunate to have it, so long as we use it to really be sincere and authentic and vulnerable and do all those things that I think is really great, rather than this is a curated story of how I want you to see me, and how I want you to see my work. I often see a lot of makeup artists that get a lot of social anxiety on social media, anxiety, and I think it's because their feed is full of makeup.
Mm.
And my feed is not. My feed is full of so many different things that I feel inspired by, or that would make me feel like I can be a better artist, but not so that it's full of makeup. That would actually drive me bonkers. And I think it's really important. And it's so funny because a lot of artists within that industry have said, oh, I say, if you're into makeup, then don't follow me on socials, because that's just not what I'm about. I'm so much more. And majority of the time I get so much good feedback, to be honest. I mean, I get a lot of people saying, why would you do that? I mean, we want to see makeup. But makeup artists follow other makeup artists. And when I thought about the strategy behind that, I don't need makeup artists to be my clients. Does that make sense? Like, when
Absolutely.
it's just a bizarre thing. Like, I say, well, what are you fishing for? What are you putting out? Are you putting out your work to get makeup artists to follow you, or are you getting clients to follow you? It doesn't make any sense to me to only pump out makeup work, or to get artists to follow me, because they don't lead to income. I'm not doing their makeup, unless I'm selling a workshop, which I'm not a workshop artist. Why would I be wanting to attract other artists? Does that make sense?
Very, very smart. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, my audience is mums, women, younger women. And, I had Dove contact me. I've had swimwear brands contact me. Dove were like, we love you, who you are. They didn't just say, I love your work. They were like, I love who you are. We love your page. It has so much going on that we feel our clients can relate to. So yeah, it's very different when you are the brand. It's different if you have the business. Sure, no one cares who your kids are and no one cares who you are. You're building your business. But when you're building you really got to be super careful as to what you're putting out.
Oh, 100%. I wanted to ask you as well, because I do think that typically a lot of makeup artists are seen, from a different lens as the perfect people who have always been really creative and who have always worn this perfect, gorgeous makeup. Did you, like the rest of us, go through that crappy stage where we had the blue sparkly eyeshadow and the orange Oompa Loompa foundation?
All right. So being a 90s teenager, I went through the whole eyebrow stage, which was not pretty. Thank you, Kate Moss, for that. And I definitely have photos where I am wearing that horrendous white eyeliner that people wore across their eye. Do you remember that? That was a thing. Like,
that was a thing.
What the heck was that? And the dark lip liner, of course. So I've got photos, like my wedding photo. I am wearing this burgundy lip liner with this pastel pink lipstick. What on earth? Like, it was a vibe. There was a definite vibe back then, and it was not pretty.
Do you know what? I found
absolutely.
I found this photo of me the other day, and I don't know if you went through this phase, but the foundation over the lips as foundation lipstick. What?
People still do that. Tamara, people still do that. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they do. I get requests on people still doing that. Yeah, that's a thing. Like, some of these things don't go away. They just stay.
I looked at the photo and I thought, Tamara, where's your lipstick? Where's your colour? What's wrong with you?
What did we do? Was it like, oh, I don't worry about a nude lippy. I'll just use my foundation. Done.
Oh, insane. Tanya, I want to ask you about your time assisting Ray Morris. I think everybody in the industry knows that name. What was that time like for you? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so when I wanted to expand my repertoire as an artist and as a makeup artist, I thought, right, so who's already doing this? That was my instant thought. And it was something I actually learned in fine arts during my time there, that I needed straight away. I needed a mentor, and I needed somebody who was already doing it and smashing it. And I didn't have, being a struggling artist, and I got married really young, got married at 21. So I was like, whoa, I need money. I didn't have the income to invest in like a course or anything like that. So I thought, right, I need to start putting in some time and some assisting hours. So that meant working for free, and I needed to find somebody that was already, sort of killing it. And in the sort of, I would say, early 2000s, Ray had just released her first book. And so when I literally Googled, Australia's #1 makeup artist, her book came up. And like every other artist, I was like, oh, wow, who is he?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so funny till this day, people go, oh, I love him. And I'm like, right. And then I, obviously looked a little further into what Ray had done, and her work was so incredible. And I thought, wow, if I could only just get the opportunity to assist her, that would be next level. And I just became a real fangirl on Ray, and I just, kept doing a little bit of research, and I connected with a beautiful makeup artist who I still call my makeup angel till this day, Mandy Lavana. She was running a workshop on how to be the best assistant, because I thought, I don't want to just assist her and not get this thing right. I was thinking long term. And I found Mandy because when I Googled Ray, Mandy had already been her assistant for 5-6 years. And so now she was running workshops on how to be a great assistant. Wow. Because I've had many people assist me, and honestly, I don't have assistants till this day because they're so hard to find a decent assistant who knows what to do and who knows the etiquette. And I wouldn't have known. Like, I would have been that person who would have never been called back, because when I got to the assistant workshop, I was like, oh, right, so I'm not actually doing makeup. I'm not even picking up a brush. I'm doing all this other stuff. So it was absolutely incredible, the learning and the training that I got with Mandy. She was in Sydney. I flew up for 3 days and did that intensive workshop with her. And she referred me onto Ray Morris and said, I found your Melbourne girl, which was honestly, like, I just was gobsmacked again, because I had already sort of had that work ethic and that passion and that drive and that experience. I was like, it's now or never. So I literally, my first job with Ray Morris was the makeup trials for LMFF, which was L'Oreal Melbourne Fashion Festival. And that was 11 years ago.
Wow.
And that was a moment, like, that was a moment where I literally weed my pants. I just was like, right, so I'm assisting Australia's best makeup artist, and I'm working on probably the most hectic job there is of the year, because the trials are pumping out all the looks that are going to go straight onto the runway. And and she'll laugh if she hears this, but I remember I was laying in bed and she called me. It was 5:30 in the morning, like I was still in bed. And she literally wrote me a text message and said, hi, Tanya, it's Ray. On your way to work, can you get me a extra hot soy latte with a blah, blah, blah? And I just remember turning to my husband and being like, I think I'm Anna Wintour in The Devil Wears Prada. this is that moment, you know?
Yes.
And I remember, like doing all of that. And I remember thinking, if I'm 15 minutes early, I'm already late, you know, just having that real mentality of like, I need to just be the yes person, and I need to show this woman that I'm the real deal because I'm in this for the long haul. And I was so like, you know, nervous and freaked out. And when I met her, she was just a complete legend. I mean, Ray's just a very unique individual. When you meet her, she's just so vibrant and excited about the industry, but she has this way of, I can't explain it, making you feel like you're a part of this secret clique of artists that are paving the way, you know? She's a hurricane. We used to call her Hurricane Ray. She's calmed down over the years, but when I met her, she was like, and can you get my thing to run the thing? And it was like 100 gazillion tabs open at the same time, and we had to just keep up with it. And so I would say there's a few of us, Lay Tai, Mandy Luana, me, there's a few of us that are the OGs. You know, we were the first people who assisted Ray Morris, and we know we've been on the journey, and it's a wild ride, but it's honestly, I just feel like that those moments is what got me to where I am, and I learned the most. It's priceless. What I learned from Ray, just everything, to be honest with you, everything I know, I learned from Ray.
After the break, Tanya shares with us why she's passionate about helping others get their foot into the doors of the makeup industry, and 2, describes her win at the Australian Beauty Industry Awards. But first, a word from today's beauty partner. Friend and feature of the podcast, Karina Khan of Private Label Skincare is currently helping aspiring beauty entrepreneurs start their own professional, natural and vegan skincare range for only $500. Yes, that's right. For this small investment, you'll get everything you need for your very own skincare brand to get off the ground with products that are ready to sell in just 2 weeks. Included in this incredible deal are 30 retail-size products that have been formulated and tested by Karina, the founder and qualified cosmetic chemist behind Private Label Skincare, 2 online courses that have been written specifically to support skincare business owners, label templates and printing, a training manual, and free postage and handling within Australia. There's never been a better time to make use of your downtime, get creative, and start building the business and brand that you have always dreamed of. This offer will only run for a limited amount of time, so if you're looking for an affordable, quick, and easy way to start your own skincare range, then you best not miss out. Visit www.privatelabelskincare.com.au for more information. And now back to Tanya. Wow, what an impressive story. Oh my goodness. There's so much there that I want to pick apart. I am sure there's going to be a million people listening to this podcast episode, though, wondering how they can be your assistant. So I'm wanting to know,
God.
If somebody was to come to you and say, what would your perfect assistant look like? Could you paint a picture for us? Because I want, I want people to realize that rather than having no assistant because you can't find that person, like, what do we need to look for? What do we need to be? How do we need to mold ourselves into somebody that is employable, or someone that, the likes of yourself and Ray can say yes to?
So what I learned was really quickly was just to be obviously the yes person. I know it sounds crazy, but there were moments where I was like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but yes, and yes. Nothing was ever too hard. I was really fortunate back then. There were no socials. So there wasn't, can you hold my phone and take a photo of this while I do this? Or it wasn't as intense as it is now. But I would say what I really look for is a person who is obviously humble enough to do the work without being asked, or look like I'm forcing them, or that they're doing me a favor to be there. I mean, that sounds like, why would people do that? But they do. It's like, I've had people sit there on their phone or look like they're there to for their own gain. yeah, it's just a bizarre thing. I think it's difficult to find an artist, especially in this next generation, because, you know, some of these people have already they got more followers than me. They got more of a clientele base than me. And so they come along and they're not really keen on cutting up carrots for the model, or, you know, you'll be doing the stupidest job. Okay, Tan, can you duck up the street and go buy some foil wrap, because now we need to make our own lighting equipment with foil. Like, it's just the most random things. And yeah, I guess it's about so unusual, but I think if I didn't do that workshop, I would have been that person too. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? So if I didn't do that workshop where it was like, no, this is actually what you need to be doing, then I probably wouldn't have been a great assistant myself.
Well, it's
I would have
almost
had
like,
no idea. I was literally stepping in going, I don't know. So it was just preparing.
yes. Well, you know, it's a scary time that everyone's going through now, right? But what I think it's doing is it's actually showing people that we are privileged to have a job in the first place. To have to take 7 or 10 weeks or however long it's been, time is just smushing by, but however long it's been that we haven't been in work, I think, you know, when we go back, the industry is going to be upside down. It's going to be harder to get a job. There's going to be less people who own businesses, and those people who did own businesses, they're the great therapists. They're going to come back,
Yes.
and they are going to get the top jobs. And people who think that they are above the work, who are above the little jobs, they're going to need an attitude adjustment quick, smart, because there's going to be no room for that. And I love that this time has kind of grounded everyone for that specific reason.
Well, it's lost momentum, hasn't it? All of that stuff that was just, everyone was on the spinning wheel. They've lost momentum, so it's a time to reset.
Yes, absolutely.
And even for brands to really think about, oh, I don't know. I just think that we're living in a really obviously unusual time, and it's been hard, but it's just a great opportunity to reassess where everybody was heading, especially in the beauty industry, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I want to have a chat to you about something that you're quite passionate about, and you know, keeping in theme with people who may be new coming into the industry. You often talk about those kind of struggles that it takes for makeup artists to actually break in, and you know, with an attitude like yours, I'm going to say yes to everything. I'm going to cut the carrots. I'm going to go down and get the foil. I mean, it's no wonder, you know, where the success that you've ended up. But why is this a conversation that you want to have for others, and to kind of shine a light on?
So I often say the master artist is a beginner who keeps beginning. And I think that is key. You know, I know that I'll never stop assisting. I'll never stop working for free. I'll never stop learning. And I know that sounds so cliche, and it's funny to say like a little line, a little quote. But the thing is, nobody really knows what it takes to do what we do, because so much of what we show is so curated, and people see the end result but they don't see the journey. And I think because we are sole traders and we are freelancers, for most artists don't have an agent. I'm fortunate enough to have one. A lot of people are saying these days you don't need one, but trust me, I'm dyslexic. I so need an agent. Otherwise, I would never get paid. But also, we're loners. You know, we're loners before isolation. We are in our own heads, and we're that, you know, that quote. It's so funny. It's that creative process where it says, "This is awesome. This is tricky. This is shit. I'm shit. This might be okay. Oh no, I'm awesome." Who helps you work that out? Your people, like your community. So we need a community of people, no matter how many times we say we don't. We really do, because creatives, we're so in our head. Creatives work with other creatives. I've worked with musicians and comedians and designers, and I see a common theme, and it really is that we're a bit lonely, and we're a bit insecure, and we're a bit upset at the world sometimes because we're in our own heads, and you just need your people, and you need those people that help you see that that's okay, and it's about the journey, and you're doing a great job, or hey, why don't you try fixing this? We really focus so much on ourselves and what we're doing, but who helps us? So a mentor is so important. I really worry for artists that don't have a mentor, because how do you know you're doing the right thing? How do you know you're not wasting years of your life doing this one thing that you know isn't going to get you anywhere? And I always say, you know, your mum and your dad and your husband or your boyfriend or your sister, of course they're going to say your work is great, but the only opinion that really matters is your mentors. So again, I was really quick in realizing that, because when I did my fine arts course, they were like, you need an art mentor. So I just applied that in my makeup artistry. And so I was fortunate. I had Ray. I literally would do work. Excuse me. I literally would do work and I would send it her way. And I would say, tell me what you think. And I remember so clearly, and it's heartbreaking, but I remember so clearly, she's like, you need to pull every photo. You can keep these two. And that was a hard truth, especially because I had associated so many images, and the things that we create as creatives, I associate them with a memory. You know, like I keep work because I'm like, oh, that was the best shoot. Oh, I love that model. And we're so attached to them on an emotional level. But they don't, like, people don't know that. They don't care. Yes. And you're only as good as your last work. So it was really important that every time I did work, I would shoot it through to people that I knew that could pull it apart for me and let me know what I was doing wrong or what I was doing right or what I needed to do more of. So I think, yeah, that's really important. I mean, I see a lot of artists getting really down, especially now with social media, and it's like they're obsessed with the whole process, and they're obsessed with what everybody else is doing. But if you've got your makeup community and you've got people surrounding you that you know you can trust or that you can chat with, that eases a bit of that. So yeah, I'm just passionate about helping other artists grow, but also enjoy that process, so that when they finally get there, they're not like little empty shells of creativity that have been killed along the way and have got nothing left to give, you know?
Oh, 100%. I think that's so true, because it is everyone who's very creative. I mean, we take our work and we give it 100%. So when somebody gives you feedback that is anything other than positive, you do take it really personally. So it's hard to remove yourself. But I love what you're saying there about having a little community of people who you can check in with to say, hey, I got this feedback. A, is it valid? Or B, is it coming from another space? And if it is valid, then how can I improve that? And, I think that consultation with others and having that community around you, it's only going to make your work better, and we should never be
absolutely
too much in ego that we think, oh, stuff her, she's just saying that for the sake of saying it. It is damn good work,
And being open, right? Being open, because we can be a little bit like Us for No More in Melbourne. So I always say I'm open. Like honestly, I'm so fortunate, and I've done this deliberately, but I have about 4 groups of makeup friends that I can go to or rely on. And I do that because there are all different types of artists and all different types of walks of life and opinions and things, but it's about being open and not being like, oh, they're not my people, so no, I'm, It's about saying, no, I'm open, and it really is, you're as strong as your network, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
absolutely. Well, I really love that about you, though, because I think, when we see from the outside, I mean, we're always told everyone puts their highlights reel up. Don't trust what you see on social media, but you do it anyway. It's by default that we do that. I mean, you look at your Gucci gang, and you've got the kids and you've got the dog and you've got all like the perfect life from the outside, and you're so cool with your purple and your blue hair. And we kind of think, oh my God, how do we get there? How do we be her, And it's so nice to hear that, you know, you get bad feedback as well, and it's not all perfect from you. And even though we know, again, it's the highlights reel, we're still all comparing ourselves to what we see on social media.
Absolutely. It's so true. Gosh, I mean, that's so funny that you say that, because that's really nice. I don't see myself in that light at all. But in saying that, for me, like success, like the success has always been like my inner world and my inside world, which is my life, my real life. If that doesn't correlate with what I put out, then I've already failed. And that's not even talking about makeup or beauty or anything, but that for me is like vital and so important. Like, it actually breaks my heart when I hear people's lives, private lives, falling apart, and yet they're so successful, you know. And it's just the world we live in. Hey, I mean, that's what we're becoming accustomed to, is seeing this whole outside world that's being portrayed, and then you hear about what's really going on, and it's awful. And so for me, that is so important, to be authentic and to be organic in that way, where, well, this is who we really are. So I would hope that when I rock up on set, you get what you've seen, you know. And I guess that's what sets you apart as well. I say to artists all the time, like, I've had people where I admire their work so much, and their work is so beautiful, and then I work with them on set and I'm like, what the actual insert swear word, this person's a nutcase, or they're awful, and you just go, well, that's a shame, isn't it? You know, what are the things that we really value, and what are the things that really are going to have return? I know it sounds bad, but actually have clients. I pride myself on knowing that people sometimes don't book me for my work, they book me for me. And my agent tells me that often. They're like, oh, they want you. And they say to me all the time, they forget my name, but they're like, the chick with the purple hair. So I can't change my hair color, because it's become a bit of a thing where people say, you know, the girl with the purple hair, but they'll forget my name, but they'll remember the hair. So it's funny that you say that, because it's become a bit of
it's your trademark now.
Branding, I think. Yeah, little trademark now. So I think, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. I just make my own rules. Like I said, people said to me often, why do you post about your life? But I just pave my own way, and it's working. So I actually encourage most people to get on the bandwagon, because I think it's refreshing, and I think it has a bit of substance.
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely working. I mean, I do want to shine a little shiny light on your 2019 AVIA Awards, where you were actually named the Bridal Formal Makeup Artist of the Year.
Yes.
What was going through your mind at that moment? Did you have an inkling, or?
Oh my goodness, Tamara, can I tell you? The only thing that went through my head at that moment was, I can't believe I'm getting an award wearing a $10 dress. I honestly, that was my, no, you don't understand. I had the most beautiful gown for the awards night, and an hour before the event, I put the back of my heel through the lace of my dress. I'm not even kidding. So I had to, I hope you don't mind me sharing this story, but I had to literally, the back of the heel of my dress went through the front of the lace. So there was a gaping hole at the front of my lace dress an hour before the event, as I was getting ready. And luckily enough, I was on the Sydney Harbour. So I threw on pretty much my pajama pants and bolted downstairs to the local shopping centre and scoured through Valley Girl and all these random stores. There was no obviously formal gown store open, and I ended up strolling into one of those little $2 shops where nothing's $2, and found these butterfly wing capey scarf things, and they were $3. And I went, I think maybe I can make something out of this. And I bought 4 of them and literally put together a dress, and that's what I was wearing. So honestly, I was just like, oh, the irony of this moment. Of course I win an award which I genuinely did not expect. So I thought, who cares if I'm wearing 4 scarves wrapped around my body to make a dress. But of course I win an award where I am, you know, dressed in a bloody scarf. And so, yeah, that was literally my initial thought, to be completely honest. And then obviously last year I went through a serious health battle where I had to have a hysterectomy. So for me, it was really, and I said it in my speech, I said to Linda, you know, just it's a blessing, and I'm only here by the grace of God. So really, this is just the icing on the cake for me. It was really beautiful, and I was really touched that she, you know, just creates these events where we can really showcase our work. And I don't enter to win. I honestly, truly don't. I enter just to have that presence and to meet other artists and to even encourage other artists, put your work out there, because that's actually the hardest part about it, is putting your work out there to be judged, because none of us create work for that purpose. And there are definitely people that are in it to win it. But for me, it's about just being like, hey, this is what I do. Tell me what you think. And being a part of that community and having my name out there for people to see. But the bridal part was really important for me because I wanted people to know that I still do weddings. And I said that in my speech. You know, we put a lot of our best work out there, but the majority of us are still doing weddings, because there's this bit of shame around artists that, oh, she just does weddings. That's like the hardest job in the world, let me tell you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would not rather face a bridezilla.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a thing. Like, people are like, oh, she's not a real artist. She just does weddings. And that's dumb. Like, or there are literally artists who are like, oh, no, I don't do weddings anymore. You know, they're like too cool now. But I think that there's no, like, you keep it real by doing weddings. And you're still in touch with the public, and you still know what people want through doing weddings, because they're your consumer. They're your everyday peeps. So it's really, really important to stay in touch with those people. And also, hey, it pays your bills. Yeah. So I'm so fortunate because I can do all that other stuff for free because I've got my bridal income coming through. Yeah. So that was a really long answer. Sorry.
No, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Don't be silly at all. I want to go a little bit deep with you. I think there is, you know, a lot of reasons as to why someone wears makeup. And the other day I did a live in our Facebook community with no makeup on, and I was just so nervous because I always have a full face of makeup. What is your relationship like with makeup and wearing it yourself?
So I am not much of a makeup wearer. I'm a bit like a chef who doesn't eat his own food, you know. I love all aspects of makeup. So I wouldn't say that I would be like, I only like doing this. And you see, you know, there are some artists and they have their signature look and they replicate it on other people. I don't think that I'm that person. I don't replicate what I put on myself on others. In fact, I remember Ray said to me, when you go on a job, you're better off wearing nothing, because then people won't guess what you're going to do. Because how many times have you looked at a person and you're like, oh shit, they're going to do that to me. Or you've sat at a beauty counter and you're like, oh, you try to look for the person whose makeup you want to have your makeup look like theirs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because so many times you'll sit in the chair and you're like, yeah, she just totally did what she does to herself. So I often don't wear much makeup. I often just wear a bit of lip gloss and mascara, and like a BB cream, and keep it super natural so that I don't give anybody any ideas of what I'm capable of. I'd rather shock people than let them have like a predisposition of what I'm going to do. So yeah, I can't live without my mascara. I can't live without a lip balm and a good concealer, because God knows we all need that.
Yes, we do. We do all need that, especially with the amount of coffee and wine I'm drinking at the moment.
Exactly, same.
Tanya, what excites you about the future of the industry?
Look, what excites me about the industry is that it is constantly changing and evolving. So if you love change, then welcome. You know, if you hate change, you're really going to struggle. I'm a creative. I'm all about change. I get bored quickly. So for me, it's sort of a wild ride, but I enjoy it. And just when you think you've nailed something or you've got something or you're on track, it changes again. I don't know any other industry that is as rapidly evolving and changing and coming up with new things than the beauty industry. It's not what it used to be. It feels like it's such a saturated market, but I feel like rather than looking at it as a bad thing, it's also a great thing because there's so many avenues to explore and to get involved in. So you used to be only this type of artist, but now you can be a YouTuber, or you could be a special effects guru, or you could have a whole Instagram IGTV channel and make so much money. There's just so many avenues. So whilst to some people that might feel really overwhelming, for me, I think it's really exciting.
Brilliant. Tanya, you've been an absolute delight to chat to today. Thank you so much for coming on and being my guest.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm a bit of a rambler, so thank you for your patience.
We love all the rambles. That's where the best conversation happens. Thank you so much for tuning into today's conversation with Tanya. Isn't she an actual ray of sunshine? Everything that Tanya was saying, I was nodding along like a little bobblehead on a car dashboard because it is so true. Who are we to be above the work? Who are we to be anything but authentic on socials? And who do we have to please besides our clients? Some big questions to think about there. As mentioned in the lead up to announcing Tanya's win of the Bridal Artist of the Year award, the presenter said it takes a beautiful heart, a good soul, and somebody who brings something special to the makeup artist table to work with a bride on their most special day of their life. And that means you've got to have the right kind of energy, which I completely agree with after speaking with Tanya today. If you want to check out Tanya's work or see for yourself the 4 scarves draped as a makeshift dress on the night of the win, you can do so over on the gram by following @Tanya Guccione. Us, of course, well, we are at Beauty Industry for all of your beauty goodness, and I would love to see how you're listening and where you're listening from, so don't forget to tag me @TamaraShawReed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, rate, review, and all of the other good stuff that helps more ears like yours tune into the conversation. And thank you so much for doing that if you already have. Until next time, stay connected.